Hello and welcome to the Code Maven channel. My name is Gabor Sabo, and in this video we are going to take a look at a website which is a really interesting website, and we are going to take a look how it's being generated. It's interesting because it's a static website. All the HTML doesn't change, but it's also a single page application, or sort of. I mean, it's a minimal part of single page application, but the content actually is being updated more or less twice a day. Actually, it's being updated more frequently. We'll get to that in a bit. And all of this is hosted on GitHub pages. So the author just created the code, and it's being generated automatically, and it doesn't have to host it anywhere. So let me show you the screen, and so you can also see what we are talking about. This website shows the status of the spread of the COVID-19 virus. It generates graphs for each country and also worldwide. So this is how it looks like. It's hosted on dungeontiger.github.io. So from this you can already know that it's hosted on GitHub as a GitHub page. Why it's called Dungeon Tiger? It's a long story. The author, who is Stephen D. Gibson, explains it somewhere. I saw it, so search for it if you're interested. Now, the single page part of it is that you can actually select here the country you'd like to view, and let's say Argentina. If you click like this with the mouse, it actually doesn't work. So I had to I can do two things. I think now if I do it with the keyboard, Austria, and I press enter, then it still didn't work. Okay, so let me try something else. If I click on one of the images, then it switches to this URL, which is in the same host but country HTML, and then the name of the country. And I think now if I change this, let me try Argentina again. Now it's switched to Argentina. The URL apparently didn't change either. So there are some strange issues with the HTML and the JavaScript part. You could actually come here and just type in Austria, and it will switch to Austria and will show the graph of this country. So this is part of the UI. What's interesting part for me is how it's being generated, how the images are being generated. So first of all, I was looking for the source code of this website and found it in this repository. So how I found it, I think it's quite standard that this is the username of the GitHub user. So what comes before the github.io, so it was relatively easy to find. And then within there, the repository is the standard for GitHub, I think, is the same username.github.io. So this is the repository. You can see that everything was updated like 8 months ago. So this repository doesn't change, but the images do. So where do the images come from? And first, I think I was looking for the images in the HTML source, but they are sort of generated on the fly partially. But I found it here that if you click the index HTML, then you can see that here you can see the source of the images. So the images come from the same so github.com, same username, and the project code COVID. And then inside there is the image, the world classes, the word cases, the Canada cases, and whatever cases. So we need to find this repository, and this belongs to the same user, and here is this repository that we were looking for. So how does this work? First of all, where is the data? So if you click on the images directory, then you can see the images, and you can see that this was updated like an hour ago. So this is where the images come from. Actually, we can also, let me try to, where is the Austria case? So, okay, it doesn't show it. Anyway, these are the images. Okay, so let me go back. And we can also see that there are a bunch of files here that haven't been updated since the creation of this repository, and or like it means 8 months. But these were, and one of them is this is the workflow. So this is where the GitHub Actions is configured. Let me look at that one, how it works. So there is this YAML file, and in the YAML file it starts with the name, which is not really that important, and then the schedule. And the schedule says that run on every minute in the hours of 12, and then the clock when the time is 12 hours or 20 hours. So I assume that this is actually a mistake because the author doesn't want to run every minute in these specific hours, but some certain specific minute. So I even opened the ticket here just to show you. Maybe by the time you watch the video, it's gonna be changed if I'm right with the suggestion. So here I created a suggestion telling that it's probably better to say something like this. So give some specific minute and then these hours, and this will run on the 12. So it will run at 12 o'clock and 17 minutes. And so 17 minutes past these 2 hours. Okay. But right now it tries to run every minute in those 2 hours, which is probably not what the author wanted. So what do these jobs do when it runs? Well, it runs on some Ubuntu. The first thing is checks out the repository, this repository, so where the images are. Then installs Python version 3.8. So this is an action that GitHub basically provides that can create you the install you Python, and then installs also Node.js. So I assume that there is also in the same way I could have, if the author could have installed Node.js as well. But either back then there was no Node.js installation setup mode, or for some other reason the author decided to install it basically manually, so using sudo apt commands. Then installing with the npm some node packages. Here installing upgrading pip for Python, and then pip installing the requirements. So let me just check what are the requirements. The requirements are not showing. Okay, well, it does pandas and plotly, so these and orca, so there are some of these libraries. So back here, so this is where we installed all the dependencies. Then and then I don't fully understand why would we need this. I mean, the configuration is going to be needed for later, but pulling again the latest version of the repository probably is not very important, because the git checkout already takes care of pulling the latest version. And then comes let's say the interesting part, when we run on the author runs the update script. Okay, so we'll take a look at that soon. That's what collects the data or downloads the data and generates the images. And then here are here is the code where we commit back the changes to the same GitHub repository and then push it back. So for this to work, he had to configure username and email, but I'm not sure that why the pull was needed here, not request, just pull. So this is basically the code, and in this way the script will generate again and again the images, and then they will be committed back to the repository, and they will immediately show up on the website, because the website references to the raw versions of these images. So let's go back and check the update script. So this was it, right? I already forgot it. So it says update py. Yeah. So this is the program that runs, okay, which doesn't have a lot of content. It only runs the update function, and within the update function there is the get data and then create charts to methods. And then we can go on and try to figure out that. That's less interesting, but let me get there anyway. So it just calls the get data function, which does some work. So the get COVID data, here is some work. I guess, downloading data from some other repository, other place, and then saving it to the data COVID country.csv file. So this is when we save back the data, and I guess the other script will generate the images, but we are not into looking at the code now. What I was interested in to see how the whole system works to generate the images and then push back to GitHub. We can later on, sorry, we can later on take a look at the code again, or you can do it yourself. So basically that's it, I think. Let me get back. So this is how these images are generated and hosted on GitHub pages. And if this is something that you feel it's relevant for other people, I would be really happy if you follow the channel, if you're watching it on YouTube or on some other place where you're watching this, for example, the LinkedIn channel, and definitely like the page so other people will also find it. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next episode.